My world shattered in a single sentence, spat out over cheap coffee at our kitchen table. I slipped. "Emma," Tom whispered, his voice cracking like thin ice underfoot. It was an accident. An accident. The word hung in the air, bitter and hollow, as I stared at the man I'd loved for 5 years. The man I was supposed to marry in 3 weeks. His hazel eyes, usually warm and steady, darted away from mine, chasing shadows on the linoleum floor. I wanted to scream, to throw the coffee mug at the wall, but instead, I sat there, numb, replaying the moment I'd overheard his best friend, Jake, laughing about the bachelor party. Oh man, Tom was so gone. He didn't even know who he was, with Jake had slurred to another friend over the phone, oblivious to me standing frozen in the hallway. It wasn't just a slip, it was a setup, and I was about to unravel the truth, no matter how much it hurt. The bachelor party had been 2 nights ago, a raucous affair at a downtown club called the Red Door. Known for its pulsing music and questionable morals, Tom had promised me it'd be tame, just a few drinks, some poker, maybe a cigar or two. "You know me. M," he'd said, kissing my forehead before he left, his smile as reassuring as ever. I'm not that guy. I believed him. I always had. But that night, as I scrolled through Instagram, a tagged photo popped up, a blurry shot of Tom, shirt half unbuttoned, a stranger's arm draped around his neck, her red nails glinting under strobe lights. My stomach twisted, but I told myself it was nothing. Just a party. Just a moment. Then came Jake's phone call, overheard by chance when I'd stopped by his apartment to drop off a spare key. His words were a knife. We got him so drunk, he didn't even notice the girl wasn't Emma. It was hilarious. Hilarious. I confronted Tom the next morning, my hands shaking as I poured the coffee. He looked like he'd been hit by a truck, pale, disheveled, his usual charm replaced by a jittery edge. It was a mistake. He kept repeating, his voice pleading. I was drunk. I thought she was you. You thought a stranger in a club was me, I snapped, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm. Tom, we've been together 5 years. You know what I look like, drunk or not. He flinched, running a hand through his messy brown hair. It wasn't like that. The guys, they kept pouring shots. I lost track. I swear. I didn't mean to. Stop. I cut him off, my heart pounding. Don't lie to me. I heard Jake. He said they set you up. They wanted you to cheat. His face went white, and for a moment, I thought he might deny it. But then his shoulders slumped, and he buried his face in his hands. I didn't know. He mumbled. I didn't know until it was too late. I didn't stay to hear more. I grabbed my keys and stormed out, the weight of his confession pressing against my chest. I needed answers, and I wasn't going to get them from Tom. Not yet. The Red Door was quieter in the daytime, its neon sign flickering weakly against the gray afternoon sky. I'd called ahead, pretending to be a private investigator looking into a client matter. The bartender, a wiry guy named Mike, with a sleeve of tattoos, was surprisingly willing to talk. Yeah, I remember that group, he said, wiping down the counter. Bunch of loud dudes, throwing money around like they owned the place. The groom-to-be was trashed before midnight. Did you see what happened, I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Mike shrugged, tossing the rag over his shoulder. Saw him dancing with some girl. Didn't look like he was fighting her off, but he was so out of it, I doubt he knew his own name. His buddies were egging him on, filming it, laughing like it was some big joke. Filming it. My blood ran cold. Do you have security footage? He hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, but it's not my call. Manager's gotta approve that. I spent the next hour convincing the manager, a gruff woman named Carla, to let me see the tapes. I didn't tell her I was the fiancé, just that I needed to know the truth for personal reasons. Maybe it was the tremble in my voice or the desperation in my eyes, but she relented. The footage was grainy, but it was enough. There was Tom, swaying on the dance floor, his tie loose, a drink in his hand. A woman in a tight red dress pressed against him, her hands on his chest. He didn't push her away, but he didn't exactly pull her closer either. His eyes were glassy, his movements sluggish. And there, in the background, were his friends Jake, Ryan, and Chris grinning like hyenas, phones out, recording every second. At one point, Jake handed Tom another shot, clapping him on the back as he stumbled. I felt sick. This wasn't just a drunken mistake. They'd orchestrated it, pushed him past his limits, and laughed while my life fell apart. I drove to Jake's apartment next, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. He opened the door, his smirk fading when he saw my face. "Emma, Don't," I said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "I saw the footage. I know what you did." His eyes widened, but he recovered quickly, leaning against the wall with a casual shrug. "Look, it was just a bit of fun. Bachelor parties are supposed to be wild. Right, Tom's fine. He's still marrying you." Fun, I spat the word like it was poison. "You got him blackout drunk and let some stranger grind on him? You filmed it? You planned it?" Jake's smirk returned, but it was weaker now. He didn't have to drink the shots. "Emma." He could have said no. I wanted to slap him, to wipe that smug look off his face, but I held back. Why would you do this to him, to us?" He sighed, running a hand over his stubbled jaw. "It's not personal. It's just tradition. You know, the last hurrah. We didn't think he'd actually cheat," I finished for him, my voice shaking. "You didn't think, period. You betrayed him. You betrayed me." Jake didn't have an answer for that. He just stood there, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. I turned to leave, but not before I made one thing clear. Stay away from Tom, stay away from me, and if I ever see that video online, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. Back at home, Tom was waiting, his eyes red-rimmed, a duffel bag packed by the door. "Emma, please," he said as soon as I walked in. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I love you. I want to fix this." I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw the cracks in the man I thought I knew. He wasn't just a victim of his friend's cruelty, he'd made choices too. He'd taken the drinks. He'd danced with her. He'd let it happen. "Tom," I said, my voice steady now, "love isn't enough to fix this. Not yet." He started to protest, but I held up a hand. "I need time. I need to figure out who I'm supposed to trust. You. Me. I don't even know anymore." He nodded, tears spilling down his cheeks. "I'll wait," he whispered, "as long as it takes." I didn't answer. I didn't know if I could ever trust him again, or if I even wanted to. The betrayal wasn't just his, it was his friends, the ones he'd chosen to surround himself with, the ones who thought loyalty was a punchline. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into work, into therapy, into anything that could dull the ache. I didn't talk to Tom, though he texted me every day, apologizing, promising to change. I didn't block him, but I didn't respond either. I needed space to untangle the mess of emotions, anger, grief, shame, and something else, something harder to name. I started asking myself the big questions. Was this a one-time mistake or a sign of something deeper? Could I forgive Tom without forgiving his friends? Could I marry someone whose loyalty could be so easily swayed? One night, I met up with my best friend, Sarah, at a quiet cafe. She listened as I poured out the whole story, her face a mix of sympathy and rage. "You don't owe him anything," she said finally, "but you owe yourself the truth. What do you want?" "Emma." I didn't have an answer. Not yet, but for the first time, I felt like I was starting to find my way back to myself. The truth is, betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your sense of safety, your trust in the world. Tom's slip wasn't just about him and that woman in the red dress. It was about the people he trusted, the ones who stood by and laughed while our future crumbled. It was about the choices we both made and the ones we didn't. I'm still figuring out what comes next. Maybe I'll forgive him. Maybe I won't. But one thing I know for sure, I won't let anyone, not Tom, not his friends, not even myself, make me feel small again. What would you do in my place? Is forgiveness possible when trust is shattered? Should Tom's friends be held accountable? Or is he the only one to blame? Share your thoughts, because sometimes the hardest questions don't have easy answers.